Welcome to our last purpose as readers today on this Monday. I can identify features of a folk tale. Our to-do: watch this mini lesson and then complete October 19th Monday genre workbook page. That will be on your Reading Wonders backpack. You can click right here, this link. You can click this link, or you can just go right to your Reading Wonders backpack. I can identify features of a folktale. Well, let's think of what a folktale is. Two folktales that we are going to read this week are Anansi Learns a Lesson and The Quarreling Quails, an Indian Folktale. Well, I love this title because this title right here, Anansi Learns a Lesson, tells us exactly what a folktale is. A folktale teaches a lesson. Let's look at this anchor chart. A tale passed by word of mouth among common people. There's another feature of a folk tale. It's passed down from generation to generation, and it's told by word of mouth to teach a lesson. So, for example, here's the tortoise, and the hare. The Tortoise and the Hare is a story that's been told years and years and years, from generation to generation. And the lesson that it wants to teach you is slow and steady wins the race. It does not matter how quickly you complete something, it matters how hard you are working. So work slowly, work steady, which means consistently all the time, and you will accomplish your goals. You will win that race. So again, here's some bullets that help us identify the features of a folktale. It is a short story passed from person to person in a culture and usually has a message or a lesson, which today or this week we will call that a theme. You will also read The Quarreling Quails. And quarreling, that's a big fancy word for fighting. So that gives you a little introduction to what this book is going to be about: the fighting quails. And quails are like a type of bird. As we are reading to identify features of a genre today, we will be thinking about these questions, because in your workbook page, you will be answering these exact questions about a different text. So you will answer 4 questions today. How can you tell that this is a folktale? So you're going to think of one of the features of a folktale. Is it told from person to person, generation to generation? Or does it teach a lesson? Number 2, why does turtle and fish laugh and laugh? So now we're thinking about the characters in the text. So when you're reading your text today, you will be thinking about your characters and what they say or do. Number 3, what literary element or story element does this text include? And number 4, what do you think the lesson of this story is? Let's read our text today. As a reader, I always like to think about what my purpose is. And our purpose is to identify features of a folktale. 1, it's told from person to person, or word of mouth, or generation to generation. And then 2, it teaches a lesson. Anansi learns a lesson. Essential question: why is working together a good way to solve a problem? That essential question really gets me thinking as a reader. Why is working together a good way to solve a problem? Well, that could be a lesson, how to work together to solve a problem. That would be something that would teach us to be better. Let's read to find out. Anansi the spider lived alone and made his lunch the same time each day. One afternoon, Turtle stopped by. I hate to get in the way and interfere with your meal, but those bananas look wonderful, said Turtle. I'm so hungry. Anansi knew he should share with the others. It was a big part of his culture. But he was hungry and didn't want to share. He decided to play a trick on Turtle. Please help yourself, Anansi said with a sly grin. Okay, I'm going to pause here because I'm thinking as a reader features of a folktale. And I know that this might be a story that has been told over time from person to person or generation to generation. But I'm thinking about that lesson. Already I heard Anansi is going to play a trick on Turtle. And I know tricks are not very kind. So I'm thinking Anansi is going to learn a lesson. And I'm thinking about that essential question, why is working together a good way to solve a problem? It doesn't sound like Turtle and Anansi are going to be working together, but it does sound like there's going to be a problem. So let's read on. Turtle reached for the food. Shouldn't you wash your hands? Asked Anansi. Oh, yes, Turtle said. When Turtle returned, Anansi had eaten half of the bananas. I didn't want the bananas to spoil, said Anansi. Turtle got closer and made another attempt to eat. Anansi stopped him again. Turtle, please go wash your hands, he said. Right here, I'm thinking Anansi's going to trick him again. Turtle knew his hands were clean, but Anansi still thought they were filthy. However, Turtle was too shy and timid to say no. When he returned, Anansi had eaten the rest of the fruit. Ha ha! I tricked you, Turtle, said Anansi. You didn't get any bananas. Turtle was angry at Anansi. He decided to teach that nasty spider a lesson. Please come to my house at the bottom of the lake for dinner tomorrow, said Turtle. Okay, I'm going to pause here because I'm thinking of those features of a folktale. And I know that a lesson, teaching a lesson, is a feature of a folktale. Well, right here, it says Turtle is he, decided to teach that nasty spider a lesson. Let's read on. Anansi quickly said yes. He loved free food. Turtle couldn't trick Anansi alone, so he decided to ask Fish to get involved and help to make a plan. Okay, now there's two characters that are going to be making a plan. That connects to our essential question. How does working together solve a problem? Turtle found Fish at the lake. Fish, I need your help, he said. With your cooperation, we can trick Anansi. Anansi had tricked Fish many times, so Fish was happy to help. Together, the two friends created a clever plan. So already, I am thinking about the fact that Anansi tricked Turtle, Anansi has tricked Fish. Now there are two friends that are going to work together to solve this problem of being tricked. I'm already thinking about that lesson in this folktale, that feature of a folktale, teaching a lesson. The next day, Anansi went to the lake. Fish met him at the water's edge. Come, Anansi, said Fish. We will swim to Turtle's house together. Anansi jumped into the water. He was a clumsy and awkward swimmer. He was also very light. So look at Anansi. He's floating at the top of the water. How is he going to make it all the way down to the bottom of the lake to Turtle's dinner, to Turtle's food? Here's a question. How will I ever get down to Turtle's house? He cried because he's so light, he's floating. Fish knew what to say. Grab some heavy stones. Then you will sink, not float. Okay, but I'm thinking as a reader, the pattern that's been taking place is trickery. Turtle was tricked by Anansi. Fish was tricked by Anansi. So Fish and Turtle are working together to solve that problem. I'm predicting that they're going to trick Anansi. Anansi picked up two big stones, jumped into the lake, and sank down, down. Fish swam at his side. At Turtle's house, Anansi saw a wonderful feast of berries. "Welcome, Anansi," said Turtle. "Drop those stones and help yourself." As a reader, I'm thinking, if Anansi drops those stones that are keeping him at the bottom of the lake, he's going to fling right back up to the surface because he's so light. Let's read on and see if that happens. As soon as Anansi dropped the stones, he rocketed to the surface of the lake. Anansi sputtered furiously. "Fish and Turtle tricked me!" he cried angrily. Back at the bottom of the lake, Turtle and Fish laughed and laughed. "We worked together and taught Anansi a lesson," said Turtle. "What a good way to solve a problem," said Fish. "Let's eat." So again, readers, our purpose was to identify the features of a folktale, and one of those main features is being taught a lesson. Well, Fish and Turtle worked together to solve their problem of getting tricked by Anansi, and they in turn tricked Anansi. So they're teaching us we need to work together to solve that problem. Let's go back to our questions. So we had this first question, how can you tell that this is a folktale? And as a third grader, I always restate my question in my answer. This is a folktale. That's in blue. See, I got these words from my question. This is a folktale. And thinking about grammar, I know that this is my subject, the beginning of my sentence. This is a folktale. Now I need to answer it because it teaches a lesson. Number 2, why does Turtle and Fish laugh and laugh? Well, again, I need to restate my question. Turtle and Fish laugh because they were able to trick Anansi. Number 3, what literary element or story element does this text include? Now you're going to have this same question in your workbook page today. And our purpose was to identify the features of a folktale. So the story element that a folktale includes, the literary element this story includes is theme. That is a feature of a folktale. The theme or lesson. Theme is a big fancy word for the message or the lesson of the text. What do you think the lesson of this story is? Well, we can use our essential question to help us with the lesson and what the characters say and do. The lesson of this story is that working together is a good way to solve problems. So third graders, we just met our purpose. We identified features of a folktale. When you are completing your workbook page, remember you are identifying features of that folktale. Teaches a lesson, and that story element is called theme. Okay, third graders, have a great time completing your work.